Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Part 1. A few years back, there was a big windstorm that blew down my wood fence. Since I was renting at the time, it was my landlord's responsibility to fix it. They called the contractors and set up a date to get it fixed. A week and a half go by with nothing getting fixed, which irritates me because now we cannot let our dogs out back without supervision. Enter my neighbor, who I shall call Ken, because I think it sounds like a male Karen. One morning I got woken up by someone knocking on the sliding glass door outside my bedroom. I laugh and answer the door, assuming my wife had accidentally locked herself outside. I answer the door and it turns out my neighbor had walked through my backyard, over the downed fence, and up to the rear entrance to my private bedroom. He's mad and tells me how upset he is that my fence hasn't been fixed yet. I apologize and tell him that I too am mad that I cannot let my dogs out back anymore. He comes down and I put on some underwear so that I'm not exposing myself to all my neighbors. Really, I think what calmed him down is me saying, yeah, I'm mad too. You should call my landlord and complain. Here is her number. I could see the anger leave his eyes as he realized that we had already done everything we could. Whatever. He trespassed to tell me that the fence was blown down because obviously I hadn't looked out back in 2 weeks. Part 2. The contractors showed up shortly after I called my landlord and explained what happened. Now the fence borders our properties, and in order to fix the fence, the contractors, they were probably just hard hands, but whatever, have to be able to access both sides on the fence. Ken freaks out and calls the cops because they were trespassing on his land in order to fix the fence. They show up and do nothing because it's ridiculous to expect someone to fix a fence while only having access to one side of it. Part 3. Since the contractors needed a couple days to fix the fence, they parked their cars in front of my house. He calls the cops on them and tries to have them towed. Well, they just moved their cars at the end of the day, so the cops couldn't do anything. But I guess he told them that a truck had been abandoned on the street and needed to be towed. At the end of the week, we go to use my wife's truck and realize there is a ticket on it. Ken had told him that our truck was illegally parked in front of my house. We got out of the ticket by explaining what happened, and the cops realized that we didn't abandon our car in front of our house. After that, all was quiet until he died a few years later. So this happened about 5.5 months ago. This happened when I was staying at my parents' house for vacation. They are cardiologists who work for most of the day, around 10 to 15 hours a day. They were well paid and they loved their jobs. They lived to New York, so they had cameras just in case around the house, because most of the time the house was left alone. This is a shortened version of what happened. I hear the doorbell ring, and this entitled mother stands at the door, alone. She asked if my shower was working, and then asked if she could use it. I said no and kept saying no until she attempted to attack me, cursing and saying random threats like she would call the cops and that her husband had the right to kill me, which I obviously didn't believe. She then called the cops, and I called my mom and told her everything. She then tried to talk to her through the phone, but she snatched the phone and broke it down to pieces. My mom probably realized this, as she pulled up in a driveway furious. The two had a large argument until the cops arrived. As soon as the cops come out, they get a barrage of her accusations of me assaulting her, threatening her and how that this was her house and I was trying to break in. Immediately after, she gets so much proof that this is not her house, and mom decides to show the cops the cameras. The camera showed that she was attacking me, and the camera mics, I didn't know that was a thing until now, showed that she was trying to get in to probably shower and swipe a few valuables. She was then arrested and was charged for assault, destroying personal belongings, and she was fined. It turns out that she had multiple attempts of stealing many things. She also was sent to jail for a while and haven't heard of her since. My parents upgraded their security and I got a new phone. And when my dad heard of this, he was in a procedure at the time. He almost vomited because he was laughing so hard. Karens are really something, huh? Anyways, stay safe everyone. A little background. I used to work at a large used car company with some locations having service stations. My location had a service station for our customers who bought cars from us and had any issues or just wanted to do regular servicing. Our service department was only open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. Not very easy to work around if you work normal 8 to 5 work weeks. I completely understand. I used to work the weekend shifts and night shifts at this company in their business office, paperwork for sales, while I was going to college. Now onto the story. The characters for this story are me, my coworker Jay, and the entitled woman. This happened around 6 p.m. on a Saturday night. Every Friday before the service station closed for the weekend, the manager would bring over a bin with all the weekend pickups, so any customers who couldn't make it during the weird work week hours had the opportunity to still pick up and pay for it in the main office. We had a woman come in. The entitled woman, already in a frenzy because she had just bought the car and was upset she had to already get it serviced. We had a 30-day window where all issues with the car would be fixed for free and the customer given a free rental in the meantime. So she didn't have to pay for the repairs, but I do understand the frustration of having to go through the trouble of having to bring the car in and pick it back up. I was going through the process of grabbing her keys and having her sign the sign-out form for her car, but she refused to sign it without test driving the vehicle first. Now at night we only have 3 people in the office. Our manager was gone talking to the sales manager for the evening, and I have been working there for almost 2 years. So I told Jay I could handle the office alone and asked her to take the entitled woman out to her car so she could check it and see if it was running okay. I told Jay just to have her turn it on. If she had any issues, I would just reissue her the rental and have the service techs take a look when they came back on Monday. Jay grabs the entitled woman's keys and paperwork and tells her to follow her to the service lot. Now 45 minutes have passed. My manager is back in the office and we are getting busy and I'm the only one able to leave to assist any customers or sales associates with paperwork. So I tell my manager I'm going to run out and check on Jay and the entitled woman to see if I can speed up the process and get Jay back in the office to help with a rush. I go out to the service lot, no Jay. I go out to the service lot, no Jay, no entitled woman, and no entitled woman's car. I start to panic a bit because I know Jay doesn't have her phone. We have to leave them locked in our cabinets because we handle people's bank and personal information, so I can't call her to see where they went. Another 10 minutes pass and Jay comes running back into the office sweating. I ask her where the hell she went because the whole process should have only taken about 15 minutes max. And here is what the entitled woman did. Jay took the entitled woman out to her car and the check engine light was no longer on, and it was not making any noises while idling. I guess this did not satisfy the entitled woman enough, and she refused to do anything until she could test drive it. It is part of our service tech's jobs to test drive the car before checking it as completed for this very reason. No, the entitled woman is not technically allowed to do that because she refused to sign out the vehicle and it will be liable to us if anything happened while still under our care. Jay tried to explain this to the entitled woman but she refused to listen. Jay was new. I was a little scared of the entitled woman because she was being quite belligerent. So when the entitled woman said all she needed was a ride around the lot, she was okay and handed her the keys. She then told Jay that she had to go with her as a witness to the noise a car would make. Jay did not know how to refuse. I understand it's a weird situation to be in as a new employee, having a customer screaming in your face telling you have to do this. So she gets in the car with the entitled woman, and this woman then takes off. She leaves the parking lot, starts going on back roads, and then gets on the interstate for a 35-minute joyride with my co-worker. Jay did not know if she was getting kidnapped because she kept telling the entitled woman to pull over and go back. But she just told her to wait because the noise would happen. After the entitled woman finally came back to the store, Jay just ran straight from the car to the office to tell the manager. And of course, she is crying and shaking. My manager immediately goes outside and rips the woman a new one and told her to get out or she will be getting the cops called on her. She was blacklisted from our store, but I did get in trouble for having such a new co-worker handle that situation. I already feel like crap about it, man. But in the end, Jay was not kidnapped, just under the forced supervision of a very entitled Karen. Okay, first off, I have the weirdest set of neighbors near a park where I live. They accuse me of taking inappropriate pictures. They were of flowers. If that isn't inappropriate, then I don't know what is. So my sister's former friend who spread lies about her in high school lives near me. We have an understanding, but these neighbors have it out for her, all because of her looks. Okay, I will call her Sadie. Anyway, her family is from India. Her parents came to the US in the 1970s and she was born here in 1981. She's very much American. She also works for a local branch of the local police station as a dispatcher. Anyway, she usually takes her kids, 13 male and 9 female, out for a run in the park when it's nice out. I would see them and she would wave and we would have a small conversation. She tries to be very limited on what we talk about since we have had problems in the past. Today though, I literally had to keep myself from yelling and calling the cops. The fact is, one of those crazy neighbors seemed convinced she's here illegally. He will make comments like, "She smells like a tandoori oven" or something, which is in my opinion out of line. Also, Sadie cannot cook. She has been horrible at it since I knew her in high school. When this let's call Chuck, started this nonsense, I was within earshot taking pictures of some flowers. I looked up as Sadie was getting ready to call her kids and prepared to leave. The guy starts doing that racial thing about the tandoori oven when I get up and walk over. Silently, I decide to pull out my phone and point to the camera. His cue that I might be recording him. "You wouldn't dare defend." Chuck does that comment, since I'm white, that I should defend his sorry self. Oh, wouldn't I? Should I call the police too? This would be what? 6 complaints in a month? Sadie, you work dispatch. How long is a response to an area like this? 5 to 10 minutes? Certainly not enough for him to get an alibi, right? Sadie nods and gives me an exaggerated runtime. She knows what I'm driving at. Entitled as Chuck is, he points out her heritage and my response was this: "Whatever, man. I honestly couldn't care less what you're doing. Go home before I do call the cops and make it harder for you." "She's an illegal." "If she's illegal, then I'm Q from Star Trek." Sadie gave me a look of thanks and said she'll make it up to me. I don't want to thank you, I just felt disgusted by his actions. I don't like Sadie and never will for what she did to my sister because it ruined her life. But what I don't want to see is her kids or her being dragged into the mud just because her family heritage is from India. As far as I'm concerned, she's more American than that guy will ever be. This happened a few weeks ago. My mom, 49, was taking me, 27 female, to work. We only have one car. It was about 4:30 a.m. and we were hungry since it had been over 12 hours since we last ate. We stopped by a local Denny's to order some pancakes and eggs. I went in since my mom has a bad knee. It took a few minutes for me to place my order, after which I sat on their waiting seats checking my phone. A woman came in and said she was picking up an order for, I believe, Uber Eats. Let me state this. This Denny's was incredibly difficult to get in and out of during the day because it's next to one of the busiest roads that frankly in the early morning and late at night is completely pitch black for whatever reason. All of a sudden my mom texted me that some woman parked on the road and went in. I looked out the door and I could barely see her car from the light of the building. After another minute, my mom walked into the door and asked the woman why she parked where she did.
Why are you talking to me about where I parked?
Because some guy on a bike just ran into the back of your car because he couldn't see it. I turned toward the door at that point and saw the cyclist getting up with his faint cell phone lights on as he pedaled away. She says,
That sounds like the biker's issue.
"What the heck? You're the one parked illegally."
Well, that parking lot is scary.
At this point, another guy that was waiting jumped in to defend the entitled woman.
Why are you harassing a woman? What are you, police? Yeah. What are you, a traffic cop, Karen? Yeah, Karen. What is wrong with you?
You can call me a Karen all you want. You are the entitled witch along with him. I got up after this point and walked towards the back counters and flagged down the manager. I say, "Excuse me. The woman sitting down is parked on the street in front of your doors and a guy on a bike ran into the back of it." The manager says, "Oh no, you said the woman sitting down? She's not supposed to park there. We told her before. She told us that your parking lot is scary." The manager is given a defeated sigh and an eye roll. I walked back towards the front where the three were still arguing and I said loudly, "Don't worry everyone. I was a Karen. I was the one that called the manager." The manager walked out and handed food to the woman and said, "We told you before that you're not supposed to park there. It has caused many bad accidents that ended very poorly. If you're that terrified of our parking lot, just call and we will bring the food out to you." The woman took the food and walked out without another word other than ugly stares at us along with the guy. I want to know, the parking lot is incredibly lit up more than the road. It's now an ongoing joke. Whenever we pass a parking lot in the morning, we say, "Look at the scary parking lot." I don't know what happened to the bicyclist. He was nearly hit by a car when he ran into the back of her car. I know he cycled away while taking on his phone, presumably with the police. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.